What's up, ladies and gents? Yes, I have got my shirt off, and I was just thinking then it looks a little bit weird. I'm actually not standing here naked because you can only see my head and shoulders. For all you know, I'm completely naked. I'm actually not. I've got sweatpants on here, and I've just been outside. It's peak summer here, right? And I was outside on the fourth floor of this apartment block here. There's never anyone there, and I was there catching some rays. So I came back in to record the podcast. I thought, you know what? I'm going to keep my shirt off because it would be off anyway, right? And hopefully we'll get more views. Speaking of more views, ladies and gents, listen up, right? Really want to get this podcast to reach more people. Just literally, I'm going to give you my summer shred program for free. This summer shred program has got like a personalized calorie counter in there. So you know exactly how much protein and calories to have based on your weight, your activity, and everything else, even your body type. It's got a personalized training program in there as well, with my signature training methods all built in to this summer shred guide, summer shred fat loss guide. Also, it's got the shopping list in there. It's literally helped hundreds of people, this plan, and I'm going to give it to you for free. All you've got to do, all I want to see is I want to see at least 20, like just give me a fire emoji in the comments on YouTube, in the comments. Give me one fire emoji right now in the comments, one fire emoji. If I get 20 people comment a fire emoji, or 2 or 3, 4, whatever, a fire emoji, 20 people, 20 comments with a fire emoji, I'm going to put the link for this into the comments, right? So do that straight away, and then we're going to get bigger guests on. I'm trying to get some guests on now. I'm back on a mission to get some great guests on. I know it's been mainly solo podcasts. We haven't really been making it a priority, but yeah, this is going to help us reach more people. And also just quickly like and subscribe to the channel. Like literally, it's so simple for you to do, ladies and gents. And it means we reach way more people and help more people and ultimately get bigger guests and bring more value to you, right? So fire emoji in the comments, subscribe to the podcast, and like. It's right underneath the video there on YouTube, all on YouTube, of course. Anyway, moving on today. Got too much energy from the sun. You know what I mean? It's definitely not from this chamomile tea. Meant to be having that before bed. Anyway, what I want to talk about is how to stay lean and healthy this summer. Now, I know 50% of you are in America, right? So it's summer over there. It's summer here every day in Australia, right? So it's the same shit for us, different day. But I know it's halfway through the summer, but you still got plenty of time, right? Still got 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm going to break down some really helpful methods here. Again, I don't just go, eat more protein, drink more, like anyone, a monkey could do that, right? I'm basically going to break down what works for clients, methods we have in place, strategies we use with clients, and optimize your body throughout the summer. And also there's going to be mindset, nutrition, and training tips in here, which are really going to help you stay lean and healthy throughout the summer, right? So basically, first thing, right, very simple. 3 big rocks, ladies and gents, right? I just talked to a client about this morning, right? 3 big rocks: training, nutrition, and movement when it comes to staying lean and staying in shape. You need to have 2 of those rocks. Let's just say you need to have 2 of those boxes ticked, right? So you need to be either, like, let's just say for one day or whatever it is, like, let's say your nutrition's gone to shit for a day, right? That's the first thing to go mostly for most people in the summer. Have a few drinks, whatever, get carried away on a social event and you eat like an asshole, as I say, right? Well, that means then you've got to make sure your training and movement is on point on that day. So that day you need to be training, or at least the next day you need to be training. And you also need to be overcompensating with your steps. You need to do more steps to make up for you slipping with the nutrition, right? And you need to be training. Let's say, for example, you sat on your ass all day. Well, guess what? You got to get to the gym. Let's say you do like a shit amount of steps and you're on your ass all day. Get to the gym and eat better. Keep that tight. Hit your protein target and eat healthy for that day. So you get what I'm saying now, right? For example, if you can't train, can't get to the gym for whatever reason, make sure you move. Let's say you're away on a work trip or some bullshit, some excuse like that, right? But let's just say you're away on I can't get to the gym, I can't train. Okay, cool. Do more steps to make up for it, hit your step target, and make sure your nutrition's on point, right? Very simple. But you cannot let more than one of those things slip. There's never any reason to do that, ladies and gents, right? That's a very simple framework for you to remember, not just for the summer, all year round, right? But especially in the summer, overcompensate with the other 2 if you let one of them slip, especially with steps. You can always do more steps, right? It's easy going outside and walking, right? Especially in the summer. A big one, right? And this applies kind of all year round, but especially in the summer. You want to be self-monitoring, right? What do I mean by this? Weighing yourself is a form of self-monitoring. Weighing your food and tracking your food, even doing your body measurements or whatever, they're all forms of self-monitoring, right? So weighing yourself is very helpful. it gives you self-accountability, self-monitoring. So weigh yourself every week, at least once a week, right? Maybe even do some photos to keep you on track. So you make sure you're not slipping too much. Guess what? Photos don't lie. As we always talk about, the scales can be deceiving or whatever, but it still keeps you kind of on track within reason. Photos just don't lie. That's a good thing with photos. And that's why with clients, for example, certain metrics they use, like they use body stat machines, are not always that accurate, right? And it's like, your fat's gone up on there. That doesn't make sense. And obviously it picks up other stuff like water and fluid and stuff on those machines. Unless you're using a DEXA scanner or an underwater thing to measure your body composition, your body fat, it's not really going to be that accurate. And when we look at photos, we compare them together, and guess what? There's nowhere to hide when you take photos, right? So self-monitoring is key, but a big one is tracking your food and tracking your steps. Like literally, get a wrist piece. They're inexpensive. You can use your iPhone anyway now, but it's not as accurate because you haven't always got your phone on you. Get a wrist piece, even if you get a Fitbit. They're dirt cheap. Track your steps. Most people overestimate, people who don't track their steps, overestimate the amount of movement they do and activity they do by about 40 to 50%. And people who don't count calories or track food basically overeat. They eat 40% more than what they say they do, right? So tracking works. It's not something that is a destination for everyone. Tracking. I say this all the time. No one wants to be fucking using an app to track their food all year round. I look a bit weird with my shirt off on this YouTube video, right? It looks really dodgy. Anyway, you don't want to be tracking your food forever. It's not a destination, but it's a great starting point, right? And the destination should be intuitive eating. The destination should be where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I'm just stepping back from the mic here and just having a little flex on YouTube. I know I'm narcissistic. I know I am, but it's okay. It's okay. I can live with it. I'm not too far on the narcissistic scale, but ultimately to be in this shape, did I track food? Yes, I did. I tracked my food for around 6 years on and off, right? So, and even I don't track now, right? And I don't need to. You can see I'm in shape, I'm healthy and everything else. And by the way, I know people who look maybe not as in my shape, right? I'm such a dick, aren't I? But I know people who look good physically, but they don't have a good relationship with themselves and food. They're just very extreme with things and they take gear and stuff like that, right? So that can be a little bit deceiving sometimes as well. So I'm not saying it's all about the exterior, but ultimately I tracked for a long time. And if I went back to tracking now, I would be way out. That's the thing. So if you listen to, I don't want to track food, that's fine if you're in great shape. If you're fat, track your food. Stop making excuses. As simple as that. You know, no one wants to do it. It's a pain in the ass. Everyone hates it. But all that to say, if I went back to tracking food now, even I'm going to be out by the calories. Like if I guess what I ate today, for example, like let's just say at the end of the day, I guess I'm probably going to be out by about anywhere. Let's just say 500 calories, give or take. I'm going to be out, right? I'll probably underestimate, and that's even me, right? So, you know, it makes a big difference. So that's self-monitoring is key. That's a really, really important one I want you to really remember, right? Weighing yourself, weighing your food, tracking your food, all examples of self-monitoring. Pre-planning, this is another big one. You know, the typical saying goes, right? Was it? Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. It's true, especially when it comes to getting in shape, right? So research is clear on this as well. People who self-monitor and people who pre-plan, and I've coached loads of people and I see it, right? And in the summer in particular, right? You might have more social events. I hope you have. I hope you're having fun. You have holidays. I hope you have, or vacations, as you guys call it in America. Yeah, that was a terrible accent. Vacations, as you call it over there, right? That was awful. Basically, you know, you want to plan ahead of certain things. Simple examples of this is looking at the menu in advance in the restaurant, right? Look in advance. When you go in, okay, what can I eat? Look the day before. Don't just turn up at the restaurant hungry. That's just dumb, right? You're not going to stay in shape doing that. Oh, I'm just going to go with the flow. Don't get me wrong. Okay, every now and then, is there room for that? For some people, for most people, no. Because if you just turn up at a restaurant and you're starving, right? Number one, you haven't eaten much. Number two, let's just be honest. Most people we spend time with, like, they're not really where you're at with nutrition. They might be actually. You might be lucky enough, but the average person, they don't really make the best decisions with food, right? The average person's overweight or obese. So you're going to be around those people on top of that, right? And then you're likely to make poor decisions, right? Look at the menu, or if you go there, you might have the right intention. You might go to the restaurant and go, oh, I'm going to have a steak. And then you get there and they haven't got steak on the menu. They just got garbage, right? Look at the menu in advance. It's very simple. Obviously, just prepping your meals, right? And scheduling your workouts into your week. For example, a big reason people gain all the weight back they lost is because they don't prepare their food, right? Or have meals prepped for them by another company, which is really helpful, by the way, for a lot of people. Or simply just factor in their workouts into their week. I just had a client say that this morning. She was like, you know what? It's Chris, you only be on the program for a month. She's like, I put it into my day. I put my workout into my day. So it's non-negotiable because you can easily work. You're going to work till you die, most likely, most people. But when it comes to your health, you have to make sure you do that shit, those habits. So factoring that in, planning that into your day, your workout, getting it. Don't get me wrong. Some days, okay, the day might get away from you, which is why training in the morning is more effective. It leaves nothing to chance. Get it done in the morning. I know this because if I don't train in the morning, I'm going to leave it to chance. And I hate that. I hate it when all day on my mind is I've got to train later on. It's on my mind all day. And then when I get into work mode, I'm a bit of a savage and I don't like leaving that space. So for me, I like to get training out the way and then you're in the right state of the mind as well. But anyway, all that to say, pre-planning is key and really, cutting back. So this is what I was going to say. So let's say you've got social events coming up, whatever it is, like plan in advance in terms of banking your calories up is another strategy we use at OYB, right? So if you've got something coming up on the weekend, social events, and again, this applies all year round, basically bank your calories up, right? If you're eating 2,000 calories, have a couple of days in the week where you have under that. Let's just say you had a few days, for argument's sake, where you had 1,500 calories. Let's say 2 days in the week you had 1,500 calories. What does that bank up? That banks up 1,000 calories extra for the weekend to play with, right? So that's why if you are tracking calories and you're aware of these things, it goes over the space of the week. Never look at your calories day by day, my friend. Look at it over the space of a week, right? And let's just say you set yourself a target to hit 1,500 calories, then over the space, let me just say 2,000. I'm not very good at maths. 2,000 calories, that's 14,000 calories over the week. Look at it that way. And high and low days, number one, you can bank your calories up for social events, right, for the summer and stuff. But number two, it's actually good for the metabolism, undulating calories. In other words, having different high and low days. For example, maybe on a heavier lifting day, maybe a leg day, you might want to have more calories on that day, and you're going to need more protein and more carbohydrates generally on those days, and more calories to fuel yourself for the workout and for recovery. And then on the days in between, if you bring the calories down, that naturally puts you into a deficit. So you're having some days in maintenance calories to a surplus, and you're having days in between where you're in a deficit. And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but this is all just examples of pre-planning. And it's really, really important. So, for example, going back to what I said about the two big, another thing when it comes to planning as well, right, is this is kind of on the same topic, is not having, two quote unquote shit meals in a day, right? So basically, if you find yourself just having like a whole day where you just eat garbage, or you just go, I'm going to write the day off. If you're doing that, my friend, you've got mental and emotional stuff that needs to be dealt with, right? And I'm not saying this from a higher horse. I used to struggle with this. I told you about my binge eating stuff last week, right? And I used to plan my whole week around, okay, I can have a cheat day, a cheat meal, and all those kind of things, right? And this is something I want to touch on now as well as we veer away from the pre-planning stuff. I just want to make sure I've covered everything there. But just cut back as well. Like, bank your calories up, or simply if you're going to have a day where you're a social event or whatever, a weekend, plan around that, like move more, right? Simply move more is a simple win. Bank your calories up, maybe just eat normal. If you have a day where let's say you fucking hit the off button all day, it happens, right? The next day, just go back to eating normal, right? Don't do anything. Just go back to doing what you were doing. Maybe do more movement, get in the gym to partition those calories into muscle gain and strength gains. And try and kind of rein it back in. Simple as that. But I wanted to talk about cheat meals. This is a very important thing that I've talked about before. I haven't talked about this for a while. Now, don't use the word cheat, right? You're not having a cheat meal, right? I don't believe in cheat meals. Hear me out. I know some of you are getting triggered with that now. Listen to why. I used to allocate cheat meals and cheat days, like I said, when I used to binge eat and have a poor relationship with food. Ask yourself a question. Why am I using the word cheat? What benefit is there to using the word cheat? Think about it on a psychological level, even maybe on a subconscious level. Oh, I'm going to have a cheat day. Oh, I'm going to have a cheat. So you're cheating off your diet. So what you're already doing is you're setting yourself up to feel guilty because you're cheating, right? So it doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to have a burger and chips, or you're going to have a pizza, then you're having a burger and chips, or you're having a pizza, and that's that. Like, I'm not having a cheat. I'm just eating a meal I wouldn't normally eat. Trust me, get out of that habit of doing that, and what happens then is, in my opinion and my experience and experience with clients, it can promote poor behaviors as well. Because what you find yourself doing is like, okay, I'm going to eat good, or I'm going to restrict in the week like I used to do. And then I'm just gonna, I'm gonna cheat then off my, but we all know it shouldn't be a diet, so to speak, right? This should be a lifestyle thing. This should be, I'm eating in a way where I care for my body and I want to treat it with respect and love. Not I'm on a diet and then I'm cheating and I'm off the diet. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. I'm just going to be straight up. Now, don't get me wrong. You might be listening to this going, Martin, I'm in fantastic shape and I have cheat meals and I'm not going to stop. Good for you. You're probably in a minority of people, but I still would say, even if you're in tremendous shape, don't call it a cheat meal. There's no benefit. You're just eating meals you wouldn't normally eat and going out and eating food. Like there's no benefit to calling it a cheat meal. And if you're going back to my point earlier, if you're having whole cheat days, there's emotional stuff that you need to deal with. If you find yourself having like more than one window of time or one meal where it's like a shit meal, right? We all do that at times. It's fine, right? You got to live a little. Summer, social events, whatever, right? Cool. But if you find yourself having 2 shit meals in a row or a whole day, you are eating with emotions. You're not eating for fuel. You're just going, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have these foods. I'm gonna have all these processed foods. Let's be honest, when you're having a quote unquote day off, I'm not gonna say cheat day, day off eating. You're not really eating fucking broccoli and chicken, right? You're eating garbage essentially. Let's just say how it is. And you've got, why are you eating garbage? Well, it's emotional, really. Oh no, but I'm good but I just want to have a day off. All right. So you want to have some treats, right? As we call it. So you're going to basically put poison in your body. Tell me how that's treating your body. It doesn't register for me. And I used to do this. Again, I'm not talking from a place of kind of hierarchy, but what benefit are you doing by poisoning your body for a whole day when ultimately that's not a treat? It's actually damaging you, right? So really, I always say in the summer in particular now, going back to the topic, is you want to be having a window is fine. I can have a few drinks. I'm going to eat some of my favorite food. Great. In the daytime, keep it tight. Have high protein, keep the meat lean, right? Have lean meat, high protein. Maybe even have more fiber than usual in the daytime, unless you're getting the digestive issues with fruit and salads and stuff like that. Then have more protein and fiber in the daytime. Stay hydrated, right? And then, in the nighttime, then number one, you're not going to be as hungry because if you in the daytime had a shit meal, right, which is potentially lower in protein, processors, going back to what I said last week, those foods promote hunger. So then when you get to whatever you're doing in the nighttime, you're just going to eat like an asshole, right? So yeah, just give yourself a window or a meal. But if you find yourself doing 2 meals, 3 meals a whole day, you've got mental stuff which need to be dealt with, right? And you might not like that, but ultimately it is because I was there, right? Why am I escaping for a whole day? Ask yourself that question. Why am I escaping to have a whole day where I just eat absolute garbage? Why, am I in a place where I need to work on my relationship with food as well, right? Because, to get to where you want to go, my friend, you want to be in shape all year round. You want to stay lean and healthy all year round. You don't want to be hearing this, oh, how do I get lean for this? You want to be in this shape all year round, ideally, let's be honest, right? Not obviously exactly my shape, but you want to be lean. You want to be healthy. You want to have an aesthetically pleasing physique, most likely, or at least you want to improve the way your body looks. And to do that, you need to have a desire to eat real food, have a real desire to do that. And if you're eating like a whole day or a weekend of garbage, then you feel like garbage after that. But you just don't have the desire once you've built your relationship with food up enough to the point where you've tuned your body back in, going back to what I said last week, of the signals, the natural signals which are built in, how we evolve to eat, animals and whatever the fuck's available. And what the fuck would be available would be animals. And occasionally, if you're lucky, depending on the season, you might get some fruit, which would be like an absolute treat. As hunter-gatherers, I know people say, oh, yeah, my girlfriend has this. I go, oh, yeah, okay. I know we used to eat those food when we were hunter-gatherers, but we also used to die at the age of 30 when we were hunter-gatherers. And you get that argument. I'm talking about facts here, right? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. And by the way, they say the average age of death was like 30 back in those days. But then they didn't account for all this is quite grim, but all the babies that die, right? Unfortunately, that's what happened. And that balances out the average age. So anyway, without going down that rabbit hole, I'm going on a mad rant here. Ultimately, you want to be tuned into eating the foods that we evolved eating, right? And if you're not, then you're going to be on a slippery slope having those kind of cheat days. So, yeah. And yeah, so I want to move on to one or two other points now. Like I said last week, protein for breakfast is a simple thing. Throughout the summer, have meat for breakfast. I dare you to have meat for breakfast. dare you, steak and eggs, it'll change your life, right? Or any meat, even if it's leftover beef mince from the night before with some eggs and avocado, heat it up, tastes lovely if you ask me, right? Boom, that'll set you up to win because you'll be satiated, you're getting plenty of nutrients in, boom, done. But doesn't have to be that extreme. It could just be eggs, for example. But the thing is, people don't realize, like, in an egg, there's only 6 grams of protein in the whole egg. Most people are not having like 6 eggs, most people, right? So you'd need 6 eggs to have 30 grams of protein, right? So great, have a six egg omelet or 6 eggs in the morning. But you want to be hitting that target I said last week throughout the summer and having 30 grams of protein for breakfast. So yeah, simple. Now you could have a protein shake as well with, frozen berries or whatever, right? Because you're getting the fiber in as well as low in sugar. You could do that as well, but obviously you're always going to be way better having real food. So hit 30 grams of protein for breakfast throughout the summer as well. That's really going to help. I'm not going to like the obvious stuff, like, hydrate. I don't want to be here telling you to drink more water, but like, come on, like it's kind of obvious. Like, get up in the morning and hydrate. You wake up dehydrated, try and drink a liter of water upon waking, have a pint of water as soon as you wake, drink the water, like I said, before my coffee. That's one more thing I wanted to share here as well. Mad. This is crazy, right? It works. Now, I've gone through a phase of just getting up in the morning. I went through a phase for about probably, 6 months to a year of getting a coffee. So track back a few years, what I would do is I listened to Huberman before, and he said, research shows that actually if you don't have any caffeine for the first 19 minutes of waking, it really boosts mood and energy, particularly in the afternoon. So you don't get any afternoon crashes. It can be better for sleep as well in some cases as well, due to some stuff going on in the body with hormones and stuff. So I started doing this, started training without caffeine. And actually, I feel in a way, as long as I get good sleep, better, weirdly, training without caffeine. I get more sustained energy. So I was doing that for a long time, and I would have my coffee afterwards, and I would feel great then when I had the coffee afterwards because I'm earning the coffee. I look forward to it throughout the session, and it gives me way more energy, and it must give me way more dopamine because you're having all the endorphins from your workout, and then you're topping that up with dopamine from coffee. And it used to really work well for me. And I never used to get any crashes. And over the past few months, I've noticed in the afternoons, even though my sleep has been pretty good, I noticed in the afternoons I'm just getting crashes. And I'm like, interested. So anyway, long story short, I switched it back up, and I've gone back to this week. Instead of having, so what I've done is I was having coffee before training. So I was getting up, going straight for a coffee and then training. I was doing that for about the last 6 months. So this week I've gone back to what I was doing, not having caffeine before training and having it after training. So about 2 hours after I wake, having my first coffee. And boy, don't get any afternoon crash in the afternoon. Way more energy. You can probably sense my energy now, right? I'm bouncing off walls. It's like, what is it? 4:45 p.m. here, right? Got too much energy. So most people, this doesn't matter. This is splitting hairs. I'm just telling you that works for me. You have to be at a good level to worry about these things. Most of you are not staying hydrated. Forget about what I'm saying if you're not consistently drinking enough water, or if you're not hitting protein targets, or you're not getting to the gym on a regular basis. Forget about, it's not important. The time that you have caffeine is really not important if you're not covering the big rocks I talked about: training, nutrition, movement, and sleep, right? But yeah, that really, really works. And I don't know where that came from then, that rant. But before I go off on too much of a tangent, I want to wrap this up with low-calorie drinks, right? I'm not obviously alcohol. It's more a case of the impact alcohol has on your sleep. And then obviously the impact it has on your sleep makes you feel like shit the next day. And then obviously when you're sleep deprived, you eat 44% more calories. That's been proven in research. So it's the knock-on effect from drink. But calorie for calorie, rather than drinking loads of beer and wine, for example, how about you have like vodka and soda water, for example, right? That's going to be lower in calories. Obviously having cocktails, wine, beer, let's be honest, the best tasting drinks. Common sense tells you if having vodka and soda water, for example, boom, that's going to be way less calories. I can't think of any more on the top of the head. I used to like gin and tonics. They used to be my thing. I don't really drink much nowadays. They used to be my thing. Gin and tonics. That's obviously less calories than, I think it's like 80 calories in a gin or whatever. So, way less calories than beer and wine. So yeah. And I guess you're kind of like, combating it a little bit because you have a water as well, maybe. And, a hangover is like 90% dehydration anyway, right? So low calorie drinks is obvious. But yeah, and a simple one then is just fats, right? I talked about this on one of my posts. Fats can make a lot of people fat, especially a lot of you have found this podcast through me being on carnivore podcasts and stuff like that, right? And what I see a lot of is people in the carnivore space, they end up getting fat when they go carnivore. Right? They might lose some weight initially. Don't get me wrong. They might get some success. Then they start going, okay, I'm actually getting fatter now. Or they've been keto and then they've gone, oh, I'm getting fatter. What's going on here? They're eating too many calories, right? Because they're adding too many fats. So this is a simple win, right? Especially, and these are all like general things here, but honing these things in the summer is even better, right? Because it's summer, right? So basically adding fats to your meals, or in some cases coffee, right? People add butter to their coffee and shit nowadays, don't they? I used to do that, those bulletproof coffees, and they taste great, to be fair. But like, you know, if you're looking to stay lean throughout the summer and you add in butter to your coffee, like 100 odd calories, a little bit of a waste, you know what I mean, of calories. If you're struggling to stay lean, I wouldn't do that, to be honest. So those added fats, like saturated fats, like butter, you know, even stuff you cook food with, like, you know, beef tallow, these are the best things to use, by the way, ghee oil, coconut oil, cut those added fats out. You don't need them anyway, necessarily. Now, I wouldn't cut them out forever, but at least, you know, there's 4 to 6 weeks left in the summer, right? Because you do get a lot of nutritional value from those things. But cutting them out for a period of time, that's going to shave off over 1,000 calories over the space of a week, or even olive oil as well. Add in olive oil, like oils when you cook your food. Don't use any oils at all, right? You know, a little bit. I don't want to go too extreme and say cut avocado out, right? Because that's an added fat. Have some avocado, my friend. Don't go that far. But I'm just talking about the oils, right? Which is, at least when you eat an avocado, it's kind of tasty. You enjoy it, right? I love avocados. Like olive oil, beef tallow, like doesn't really taste that much. And you're slamming in like, you know, hundreds of calories more each day potentially, right? So cut out those added fats, and even added fats like nuts and nut butters and stuff like that, right? Okay, now don't get me wrong. If you have a little bit of nut butter each day and you're staying in shape, like, continue, right? You want to make things sustainable with what you're doing, right? If you're doing a good job, continue. But just be mindful of those things like nuts, like a handful of nuts, right? First time I tracked a handful of nuts, I never forget it. I was like, what the fuck? I thought nuts were healthy, right? Bloody hell. I mean, yeah, okay, they got some nutrients in them, right? I remember I weighed up about 15 almonds, right? And I was like, 500 calories. What? Almost had a heart attack, right? So those fats like nuts and stuff, they all add up to a lot of calories, to the difference between you staying lean and getting fat, right? Or losing weight and not losing weight. So just be mindful of those added fats that I mentioned there, right? Because they rack up to a lot of calories. Cut them out, you know, stick to your meat, your vegetables, your salads, your eggs. Hard to lose, to be honest. Fruit, obviously a little bit of fruit. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up there, right? There's a couple more things, actually. I do want to touch on these points. Look, I'll tell you at the end, all the information I've given you, I'm going to give you a little gem at the end that I want you to focus on. Having a structured training program to follow, right? And doing strength training every day. Have a structured training program to follow and do something relating to strength training each day. Now, I use my rubber resistance bands. Where are they? They're not here in sight right now, right? But on the days in between training, sometimes if I'm not going to the gym, I'll just get a pump on with the bands, a light 10 to 15 minutes, full body, right? Use the bands, 10 to 20 reps on each exercise. Pick 4 exercises, for example, right? Throughout the summer. I urge you to do this, right? Watch what happens. Pick 4 exercises. Like, let's say you do a row with a band. You know the bands with the handles on the end. You can see me on YouTube now, right? You got the long rubber bands. They got the handles on the end. You know, do a row, tie up to something and do a band row. Then maybe turn around and do a chest press. Then do like some body weight squats. And then maybe do something for shoulders and like a shoulder press or a lateral raise. Do 10 to 20 reps of each of those and do 3 to 4 rounds in quick succession, no rest. But remember, it's not a workout. It shouldn't be strenuous. Just get a good pump on, get your heart rate up, 10 to 15 minutes max, right? Like a little circuit. And that will boost your metabolism and add to your results. So if you don't go to the gym in the summer, get the bands out and get a pump on, right? It'll help you get away with way more calories and you'll look way better. If you bring that in, incorporate that one thing in now to your training, doing the bands on rest days, because they aid recovery anyway, because remember, they should be low intensity. They shouldn't be intense. You just get a pump on and then you stop. Watch what happens. Game changer. Do that one thing throughout the summer training wise. Watch what happens. Yeah, movement. Don't sit around. Don't be a couch potato. I've mentioned this, right? But even if you're doing stuff around the house, remember, it's not all about going out for walks. You can rack up loads of steps just from being productive around the house, doing cleaning and stuff like that. It's not all about that. So just move regular. One more thing. This is the most important thing, right? Social influence. I've talked about this before. I just studied it on millions of people over the space of 20 years. And what they found was if you've got a friend who's obese, a close friend who's obese, you're 48%, I think it was, more likely to be obese yourself, right? So that just goes to show the power of social influence. So you have to be mindful of this. It's the most important thing. You have to pick your battles, right? If you're going to be around people who, you know, eat and drink a lot, right? They might be your close friends. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you have to pick your battles. If you're around those people all the time, throughout the summer, all the time, you know, it's going to be hard to avoid. If you're trying to avoid, you might want to enjoy yourself with them every now and then and take a bit of a hit. That's fine. But it's so much easier to avoid temptation than it is to resist it, right? I'll say that again. Avoiding temptation is much easier than resisting it. If you're around those people all the time, those behaviors are going to rub off on you. And good luck trying to stay lean. That's all I can say. right? So you have to pick your battles. You have to be mindful of who you spend your time with. All that stuff we all know, right? The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. We all know that, but most of us, we still don't implement it, right? Just be mindful. That social influence, you'd be fighting a losing battle if you're in a position where you're like, right, I want to eat less, I want to drink less, yet you keep going out with people who eat a lot and drink a lot. I mean, come on. Do you need me to say any more on that topic? Anyway, ladies and gents, just going to wrap this up now, right? So remember what I said last week. Knowledge is not power. I've given you a lot of knowledge today, right? That doesn't give you power. Knowledge is only potential power. In other words, if you don't apply the knowledge that you've extracted from this podcast, 1 or 2 things, max, not the 10 things I talked about. Take 1 or 2 things away. It could just be simply training, nutrition, and movement. 2 of them need to be on point every day if one slips, right? It could be self-monitoring. Right, I'm going to track my food, and you'll eat 40% less on average. Win, right? It could be pre-planning. Okay, I'm slipping with the pre-planning. I'm just fucking rolling around like a headless chicken, and I'm getting nowhere with that. And basically, I keep overeating, and I haven't got meals prepped. And that's what I was going to say as well with the meal prep thing. Prepare your own meals like normal in the summer. Like, don't just eat out all the time. Prepare your own meals. Eating out and Uber Eats all the time, you don't know what's in those foods. You're probably eating way more calories than what you think, right? So still prepare your own meals most of the time when you can, when it's in your control. Yes, eat out, be social, but still, if you're going to eat out at a restaurant, do you need, yeah, okay, you might have some days where you eat out all day. We all do that. But most of the time, if you're eating out all day long, you're slipping. Let's just be honest. If you're doing that every single day, right? So prepare some of your own meals. And that's part of the pre-planning thing, right? So it could be any of those things, right? Cheat meals, all those things I mentioned there. The fats, right? Cutting out the added fats. Some fucking gems here, ladies and gents. I know it's simple stuff, but come on. This is valuable shit. Anyway, over and out, ladies and gents. Remember, subscribe. Knowledge is only potential power. It's only power if you apply it. All right? Oh, no, don't sign off yet. One more thing. How could I forget? The challenge that I mentioned, the free fat loss challenge. It's called, I've changed the name for it. It's called the Summer Shred Challenge, right? 5 pounds down. You're going to lose 5 pounds of fat within 21 days. You're going to get coached for free. Now, you have to apply. I can't take everyone on, of course, but the application form is in the show notes, right? It starts on August the 12th and finishes on September the 1st. Don't miss this opportunity. Apply, and I'll be selecting the people who are being chosen to be coached by me, by the way. You're getting proper coaching from me, and you're going to be part of a community and everything. This is unbelievable. Never done it before. Don't miss out on this. Just simply fill out the application form in the show notes. All right. Over and out, ladies and gents. Fire emojis in the comments, please. See you later.